Chair recognizes Mr. Donald. There's 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Spirited committee already. A couple things. Look, if you're going to look at the costs for any American, especially Americans on the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum, rising energy costs cripple them more than anybody else. I would assume every witness can agree to that, correct? Can we all agree to that? Okay. Mr. Drummer, I was reading through your testimony during all of the opening statements that we have in our committees. You say that fossil fuel costs are unsustainable. Why is that?
It's the data that I just shared, right? And so even today, yes, gasoline is, as of the latest February 14th or so CPI report, up 1.5%, but that's off of the historic high from last year, right? This is gouging folks' pocketbooks.
Mr. Drummer,
again, the bottom
I'm
two
going to reclaim time now because I'm going to ask you this question. Are fossil fuel costs more expensive in the United States just because of the cost of actually drilling for and refining fossil fuel products, or is it also because of government regulation with respect to fossil fuel products?
The bottom 2 quintiles of earners pay 15 to 25% of their income.
But I'm asking you what makes it more expensive. Is it just purely the procurement costs of fossil fuel, or is it also the regulatory burdens on fossil fuel?
It is the global fossil fuel market that we do not control. When there is chaos happening in Europe and Ukraine because of Russia's invasion, that hits American pocketbooks.
People have been drilling for oil and using gasoline long before Vladimir Putin went into Ukraine. We've seen rises and falls in gasoline prices. Let me ask you this. You say in your statement that renewables are actually the most cost-efficient form of energy. That's what you say in your statement. Is that because renewable energy is largely subsidized by most nations in the world, or is that because the actual per unit cost is being borne by the consumer? Is it the subsidy, or is it the full cost? What makes it most cost-efficient?
This is a great point you bring up, Representative, because actually fossil fuels are heavily subsidized, more so than renewables right now, and still renewables are more price competitive.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, Mr. Drummer. You need to go back and check your facts.
I'll be happy to share the data with you after
real quick. I want to move on to a couple of things. Do you think we need more refineries in the United States, yes or no?
Absolutely not.
So you do realize that without more refineries in the United States, the cost of fuel for all citizens, especially those at the lower 2 quartiles of the socioeconomic spectrum, are going to suffer as a result. You do realize that.
Fossil fuel markets are a global market. We do not control the price of oil in the U.S.
But you do realize,
cannot drill our way out of energy.
You do realize that the supply of oil that goes to refineries in the United States, if you limit the capacity of refineries or continue to not allow them to expand, or to actually get the necessary maintenance, they're going to have less output capacity in the United States, which means all the products we use with fossil fuels, not just gasoline, the very glasses you wear, the very contact lenses I'm wearing, those are derivatives of oil and petroleum as well. So you do realize that by not allowing for new refineries, you're going to increase the costs on the very people we're all trying to help?
I think, again, we're talking about energy security.
Well, I would agree. This is energy security.
Right.
Because if you want to make sure that the costs for the people who have to buy product, poor people, they don't have escape velocity. You know what I mean? They don't have that. So is it prudent to not allow for the things necessary to keep costs low in the name of the Green New Deal? Is that prudence?
It is imprudent to double down on a losing strategy of drilling our way to energy security. It's not possible.
Mr. Drummond, do you realize that America was energy secure literally 4 years ago? America was energy secure.
America was not energy secure 4 years ago.
Mr. Drummond, do you not acknowledge the fact that we were exporting oil to other parts of the world in the United States? We were exporting.
Absolutely. We were exporting natural gas last year when prices were going through the roof. It did nothing for domestic consumers of that natural gas. This is a global market, and to insulate American households and our country from all the vagaries and chaos of the world, the best thing we can do, the most prudent thing we can do, is invest in batteries,
Mr. Drummond,
renewables.
Let me jump to batteries real quick because I'm running out of
and
time.
not be reliant on any global
Mr.
supply
Drummond,
chain.
we're playing my time. Batteries are made up with elements. You need elements to actually create batteries.
Rare earth minerals.
Do you acknowledge that most of the rare earth minerals and cobalt are being mined in other parts of the world, mostly with African child slave labor by the Chinese? Do you acknowledge that?
I am crystal clear. And do you acknowledge?
Do you think that's okay? Do you think that's okay?
That is absolutely not okay.
You think it's okay for child slave labor in
okay.
Africa to provide batteries for us here in the United States?
It is not okay.
So which one is it? I'm asking you. You just said it's okay.
I didn't say it was okay. Let the record reflect. I did not say it was okay. I said it is not okay.
Well, let me set the record straight because I'm over my time. I don't think it's okay. I think it's wrong, especially
and I agree with you that
considering
it's not okay.
that fossil fuels provide more than enough than what we need for our economy to survive. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Donalds.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Holland, the Mineral Leasing Act requires the department to hold quarterly lease sales in each state with federal oil and gas resources. That's one lease sale every 3 months in each state with the resources. So in the 9 quarters since President Biden took office, the department has held a grand total of 1 lease sale in each of these states, a single lease sale in over 2 years. Now, I'm glad to see the department has now announced plans to hold lease sales in the 2nd and 3rd quarters of this year. My question is, will you commit to resuming oil and gas lease sales each and every quarter going forward as required by law?
Thank you very much for the question, Senator. And of course, we follow the law in everything we do. We have had lease sales. We'll continue to have lease sales. I know that President Biden believes in energy independence, and we're working toward that goal.
Well, let me just point out, you just said we follow the law, but you haven't followed the law. Under oath, during your confirmation hearings, you sat here and you said, I will absolutely follow the law. But yet, for 9 quarters since President Biden took office, the department has held only 1 lease sale. So I don't know how you consider that following the law. So the question again is, will you commit to resuming oil and gas lease sales each and every quarter going forward as required by law? Yes or no?
Senator, we will always follow the law.
You haven't been following the law. Yes or no? Please answer the question, yes or no. Will you commit, sitting here, to resuming oil and gas lease sales each and every quarter going forward as required by law?
Senator, in 2022, we had lease sales in Wyoming, Colorado, Montana, the Dakotas, Nevada, and New Mexico.
1 lease sale when the required law required that you have had 9 quarters worth of leases. So you haven't been following the law. Yes or no going forward?
We are planning 12 onshore lease sales that are in the planning process for 2023. And we're currently planning multiple sales in Wyoming beginning in June, Montana and North Dakota also beginning in June, with additional sales in September and December, Utah, Nevada, and New Mexico, which could be
we know what all the public land states are. That's a good list. The question is, going forward next year, will you commit to following the law each and every quarter as required by law?
Senator, we will follow the law.
Well, you haven't been doing it so far. Let me move on, Mr. Chairman. Last month, the Bureau of Land Management proposed a fundamental change in American land management policy. This illegal proposal, and it is illegal and it doesn't follow the law, would make non-use of lands a competing use. Your proposal would give radical environmentalists a new tool to block activities that are guaranteed in the law, such as grazing, recreation, and mineral development. Please explain why you think putting large swaths of federal lands off limits upholds the multiple use mandate in the law.
Senator, thank you very much for the question. And the public lands rule is actually a proposed draft rule currently in public comment period. That would essentially put conservation on equal footing with our multi-use mandate. It would not foreclose other uses of our public land, such as grazing or mining or energy development.
Well, the so-called public lands rule that you referred to is nothing more than a thinly veiled attempt to eliminate economic activities on federal lands in Wyoming and across the West, and I would strongly urge you to withdraw this disastrous and illegal proposal. Next, earlier this year, you blocked access to federal minerals in an area that contains 88% of our nation's known cobalt reserves. Cobalt's a critical mineral necessary for electric vehicle batteries. Do you know where most of the world's cobalt is mined today?
I beg your pardon,
Do
sir?
you know where most of the world's cobalt is mined today?
I'm sure you'll tell me.
Well, it's the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So in your view, does the Congo or the United States have better environmental standards?
Senator, the United States has better environmental standards and better worker standards.
So in your view, does the Congo or the U.S. have better protection against child labor?
Senator, with respect to the issue you're speaking of, I assume that it's the Boundary Water watershed, and that was put to us as a copper mine, not as a cobalt mine.
So why are you blocking access, though, to our nation's cobalt resources? You can't possibly be willing to ignore what's taking place in the Congo. It's been all over the news for years. Here are a couple of headlines in terms of the mine that you blocked. National Public Radio: how modern-day slavery in the Congo powers the rechargeable battery economy. The Independent: here it is better, they said, not to be born. Cobalt mining for big tech is driving child labor and deaths in the Congo. The Guardian: like slave labor and master, DRC miners toil for 30 pence an hour and fuel electric cars. The New York Times, Newsweek: go after any of them. Again, why are you blocking access to our nation's cobalt resources? Because that's what you've done.
Senator, near the Boundary Waters watershed, it was put to us as a copper mine. Copper is not a critical mineral in this country.
This is a mineral that is needed to fulfill the president's goal on electric vehicles. It's straightforward. You can't get critical minerals without mining. Mining in America is better for our economy. It's better for the environment. It's better for the people of the world. You need to stop blocking access to our nation's resources. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chọn đêm nay để nhớ thương anh, em nghe tình yêu thức dậy êm đềm, nhớ từng nụ cười ánh mắt, nhớ lời ngọt ngào âu yếm, tóc em thơm giấc ngủ dịu. Biết giờ này anh có nhớ em không? Có nghe tình yêu thức dậy trong lòng? Đêm từng màu thời gian đến, bóng hình người mình yêu mến. Ôi nhớ gì hơn nhớ người yêu. Rất chân thành ước nguyện trọn đời yêu anh, chớ đừng giận hơn em nhé. Anh ơi, đừng bao giờ nói chia lìa, sẽ làm tội nghiệp em lắm. Đã thương nhau chớ phụ tình nhau, thức trọn đêm nay để nhớ thương anh. Sương rơi lạnh câm cảnh vật im lìm, ước gì mình đừng ngăn cách, ước gì nhà mình chung vách, hai đứa mình thức trắng đêm nay. chân thành, ước nguyện trọn đời yêu anh, chớ đừng giận hơn em nhé. Anh ơi, đừng bao giờ nói chia lìa, sẽ làm tội nghiệp em lắm. Đã thương nhau chớ phụ tình nhau, thức trọn đêm nay để nhớ thương anh. Sương rơi lạnh câm cánh vật im lìm, ước gì mình đừng ngăn cách, ước gì nhà mình chung vách, hai đứa mình thức trắng đêm nay. Ước gì mình đừng ngăn cách, ước gì nhà mình chung vách, hai đứa mình thức trắng